Welcome to Conversational Currency. I'm your host, Shadeed Eleazer, and I thank you for tuning in. Conversational Currency is the fastest growing platform that covers the value and importance of social skills for business in a digital era. Conversational Currency answers the question, if you were able to say the right words in the right moment to every man or woman in a business setting, how different would your life be? Now, it's exciting to be broadcasting live back in the headquarters. As my regular listeners know, we were on location a couple weeks ago in Vancouver, Canada, at the ultimate webinar funnel live event hosted by TEDx speaker, entrepreneur, and founder of Success Road Academy, Mr. Iman Agai. I thank my Vancouver business and startup communities for their immense hospitality and their time that they've invested in sharing their stories and for extending the olive branch for future partnerships. Now, today is going to be a great show. We are broadcasting live outside of a live event, and it's going to be some interviews that are coming up afterwards that you're going to see in future shows. So very excited about that. We're going to keep the guests under wraps for now, but as you can hear, there's a lot of great events going on, so we're going to have some special interviews for you coming up pretty soon. So as for now, in terms of the content of today's show, we're going to discuss icebreaker questions to form deeper connections with higher status people. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what you will learn in this episode is the following: the fundamental difference between surface level small talk and icebreaker communication. You'll also learn the value of open-ended communication, and you'll learn how to overcome nerves and anxiety when communicating with important people. Now, the question may be, where can I find the reference notes or the show notes for this episode? The show notes will be available at www.mrshadeed.com/icebreaker. Now, this episode is brought to you by the best-selling author Dorie Clark and her new book, Entrepreneurial You. Now, why is communication so important? Communication, ladies and gentlemen, is the highest leverage skill that you can develop in your path of personal growth. I want you to take a moment and just think about your life for a second. I want you to think about your life like a timeline. So at one point, you were in diapers, gaga, goo-goo was the lingo. And you went down the timeline into early adolescence, into teenage years, into adulthood, and into your professional life, as well as your passions, your career, and the different aspects that existed. Now, I want you to think about the moments where the voice within you could not get out, or the moments where you needed to assert your voice, or you needed to say what needed to be said in terms of establishing boundaries. That is the power of communication. So if you were able to convey the right emotions in the right moments, what would your life be? So the reality is that your social circle would heighten, your love life would deepen, your demand in terms of your business, your clients, partnerships, sponsorships would be greatly in demand. In today's digitally enhanced reality, or society where many people are glued to tablets and look at life through a screen, or basically have the difficulty in disconnecting from those machines, our social skills are eroding, ladies and gentlemen. And conversational currency exists to fill a stopgap for a cross-section of people. So, for example, my millennials who are raised in a smartphone and tablet-enhanced culture What they need is the tools to communicate in person with certain skill sets such as maintaining eye contact, developing charisma, cultivating an aura, and cultivating a powerful presence. Now, for my older audience, my Generation Y and beyond, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, we need to understand, my Generation Y audience needs to understand the new world that we live in. So, for example, let's say you are an older professional, maybe you're retired, and you've decided to pay it forward and give back. So, the question becomes, if you have a mentee who, or a client who communicates using emojis, for example, uh, or if there's a disagreement where the mentee expected a certain amount of performance, the question is, how do you, and they send you 3 paragraphs of text messages, and you think, wow, we should get on the phone and just talk this out. How do you navigate those choppy waters and reach a resolution? That's where conversational currency comes into place. So this is your destination for that. So ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you one quick tip to enhance the power of your communication before we get into our healthy entrepreneur tip of the week. And that is the golden rule, ladies and gentlemen, is when a conversation is present, no cell phones, no smartphones, no tablets. Try this out over the next week. And so again, when there's a conversation, when you're in the presence of another soul, another human being, remove any and all distractions. That means maybe turn off the TV, maybe put your phone away, put your phone in another location, because when you give someone your total attention, it is a powerful connection. And if you follow this step and make it a practice over time, your connection to other human beings will be enhanced, more powerful. I like to say that the human body is a percussion instrument. What does this mean? The human body is a percussion instrument, meaning you have vocal cords, you have eardrums, your heartbeat has a rhythm. And so when you connect to other sources of rhythm, you have a jam session. You're creating music together. And communication is the tempo that allows for that music to happen. So if you're playing music, for example, and one person's out of key, then if you're both playing on A or on C, and one person's not tuned up, or their instrument is not in tune, then the music that you're creating is not harmonic. So it's off key. So you have to keep in mind that what that analogy means and how you can utilize that to benefit your life and the power of your communication. It's the highest leverage skill that you can develop. So now let's switch gears and go into our healthy entrepreneur tip of the week. Now, why would health be important for an entrepreneur? Why do entrepreneurs need to focus on their health? Why is this a big deal? So, the Healthy Entrepreneur is a series that I designed to improve the awareness of today's business community. In my work in mentoring business owners all around the world, both with my work with Small Business Administration and SCORE, where I help new and aspiring business owners and current business owners, as well as my own practice. This year alone, I've spoken to 523 small businesses or people who had the aspiration of becoming business owners. And health in that study, in that cross-section of people, health, ladies and gentlemen, is often viewed as the optional part of self-care and peak performance. Now, I'll give you a pro tip. Improving your health is the fastest path to improving the quality of your life. How does this relate to business? It's energy. Energy, ladies and gentlemen. If you have more energy, you have more quality to invest per minute, per 20 minutes, 30 minutes per hour throughout the day. If you are running at less than optimal conditions, then the effort that you will put to the minute, the half hour, the hour will be diminished, and your ability to replenish and get back to work the next day will be diminished. You'll get sick a lot more. So health is everything. So I want you to realize this. When you're on the path of success as a business owner, it requires an above and beyond mentality. If you're an entrepreneur, or you are a person who, even worse, if you're a person who is doing what you need to do during the day, meaning you have a day job, you have a part-time job, and then at night you put on the superhero cape and you are entrepreneur, man or woman, then you're not working 40 hours. You are working until the job is done. It's even compounded when you are actually the person or in charge of the team that must operate as a creator of leads, of a creator of the sales machine, and the creator of the follow-up process that sustains the business lifestyle and relationship that you desire. So what happens is you work endlessly, and when you work and you work and you work and you're working hard, what happens is you develop unhealthy coping habits in the form of diet and lifestyle, ladies and gentlemen. It causes the engine that is the body. The human body is a marvelous machine, self-healing machine, but when the engine is not running in alignment, the maintenance isn't correct, your temple, which is your body, begins to operate in a less than optimal fashion. Now, let's say that these ideas that you have and the work that you do actually produces a breakthrough, and your ideas and your partnerships and your products and your services go through the roof. They begin to take off. This is the time when your body and efforts are needed the most. And that's when the actual work begins, is when you have your biggest breakthrough. And what will happen to you is your body will fail you at the moment when you need it the most. So it's important for you to understand that maintenance is the most important part of excellence. Maintenance is the most important key to operating in an optimal condition. So that is what the healthy entrepreneur exists for, is to correct the entrepreneurial tendency to work, and oh my goodness, I forgot to eat, or I'll work out next week, or who needs to work out? I need to generate revenue. No, you begin with the end in mind, and it's important that health is the top priority of your entrepreneurial focus. Because when you take care of the machine is able to work the way it was intended to do. Does that make sense? Okay, so the healthy entrepreneur tip of the day is meditation. Now, with the hectic pace and demands of modern life, many people feel stressed and overworked. It often feels like there is not enough time in the day to get everything done. Our stress and our energy levels will result in making us feel unhappy, impatient, and frustrated. It can even affect our health, ladies and gentlemen. We are often so busy, we feel that there's no time to stop and remember our breath. And remembering our breath means to meditate. But meditation actually gives you more time by making your mind calmer and more focused. Those are the results. A simple 10 or 15 minute breathing meditation can help you overcome your stress and find some inner peace and balance within the storm. Meditation can also help for us to understand our own mind and how it works, and the tides that often come about. So we can learn how to transform our own mind from negative to positive, from disturbed to peaceful, from unhappy to happy. Overcoming negative minds and mind frames and cultivating constructive thoughts is the purpose of the transformational meditation that are found in, let's say, Buddhist tradition and other cultures where meditation was originated. So this is a profound spiritual practice that you can enjoy throughout the day at any time, not just while seated. You can just take a moment and catch your breath. So that is the healthy entrepreneur. So first of all, I want to take a moment to thank those who are tuning into the broadcast and thank those who are watching online and watching through the stream broadcast. I want you to take a moment and hit the share button. I want to make sure you share this broadcast for entrepreneurs, for thought leaders, for people who are go-getters with amazing side projects that they work on like superheroes in the evening. And I want you to share this information so that they can benefit. And if they can't watch it live, then they have the advantage of receiving the gift of on-demand viewership. That's the power of video, ladies and gentlemen, is that you can always go back and catch the high notes, the low notes. And if you go to MrShadeed.com/presents, you can definitely check out the show notes for this particular episode. So please share the broadcast. Please share the broadcast. So next, we're going to go into Entrepreneurial You. Now, this book provides a blueprint for professional independence with insights and advice on building your brand, monetizing your expertise, and extending your reach and impact online. This book is your hands-on guide to building a portfolio of revenue streams, both traditional as well as online, so that you can liberate yourself financially and shape your own career destiny. Many of you know that ownership is my favorite word, so putting yourself in the driver's seat in terms of empowerment and controlling your destiny is what I'm all about. And this book right here provides the roadmap to do so. It's written by Dorie Clark, who is the author of several great books, but this book takes the cake. I had the opportunity to interview Dorie and go through the book in such great detail. I enjoy this book so much, and I believe that the book is of such value to the audience that we will have an Entrepreneurial You masterclass, which will be 4 weeks, 4 90-minute sessions of going through Entrepreneurial You with custom examples, custom homework, custom assessments, so you can have a deeper mastery of the content. So I want for you to go to MrShadeed.com/entrepreneurial-you-masterclass and sign up for the 4-week masterclass for Dorie Clark's Entrepreneurial You. The book itself will be a textbook, and of course I'll be teaching the class, going in depth and providing value. Now, in our last episode, ladies and gentlemen, we discussed the power words, 5 phrases that high performance people never say. Now, what we learned in this powerful episode is why your choice words have such a powerful impact on how your business colleagues and partners perceive you. You also learn how your words actually hardwire your brain towards a desired outcome and expectation. So, in review, some of the phrases that high performance people never say. This will just take a minute. This communicates that a task will take a minute. It ties into overpromising. It has the potential impact of undermining your efforts. So all the good that you do, you're undermining it by telling people, just take a minute. Successful people understand the big picture of how long things actually take, and they provide clear expectations as well as estimates. So that is very important. Next, I don't need any help. This is very important. The solopreneur suffers greatly, ladies and gentlemen, from this condition of the mind that I label as do-it-yourself-itis. It is an ailment that, due to stress as well as overwhelm, leads to the thought leader or business owner being overwhelmed and attempting to shoulder the workload themselves, despite the abundance of talents and skill set that may surround him or her. Successful people ask who is the best person to achieve the mission. Next, it's not my fault. This is a very powerful phrase because it removes your personal power from a scenario, a project, or a company. It's not my fault is very dangerous. You must take ownership of your role within the project and take on the mindset that if it is to be, it is up to me. If you take extreme ownership, then it allows you to completely eliminate the idea that you are not involved in the outcome or result. So part of the job or the deal you sign up for in leadership is being all in and accepting the good or bad with every outcome. When you accept responsibility, you also have the power to change the outcome. I'll say that again. When you accept responsibility, you also have the power to change the outcome. Take ownership of your mistakes instead of pointing out where others have fallen short. So, finally, we'll go into this task is impossible. Now, this task is impossible is the opposite of it will only take a minute. This mindset is dangerous, ladies and gentlemen, because it eliminates the human mind's most powerful asset, which is the ability to find solutions. So, utilizing the approach of reframing is very important in terms of overcoming this particular task of this is impossible. So very important to keep in mind. So as we move forward into our topic of the evening and briefly go through some of the icebreaker questions to form deeper connections with high status people, we're going to go into the difference between surface level small talk and high status communication or open-ended communication. We're going to also talk about how to overcome nerves and anxiety when communicating with important people. And again, the short show notes for this episode will be available at mrshadeed.com/icebreaker. So let's go into this. Surface level conversations are often seen as a necessary evil in the world of business and networking events. The scenario you're up against is that the high performance leaders are in demand. They are approached all the time. So you have to be compelling and create new pattern interrupts. Look that up to get on their radar. Now, my first tip is basically a spin-off of what was presented in last week's advice, which was being in the present moment. In this context, you take a step back from the conversation and ask yourself, when you're in the presence of a high status individual, how can I add value to this person during the conversation? How can I raise the energy of this interaction? So a few questions to tell yourself are, what are they telling me with their words and mannerisms? What have they learned? What have I learned that I can share? And what can they teach me that I do not know? So, in general, icebreaker communication triggers the person to think beneath the surface and reveal facts, opinions, and emotions about themselves. These facts, opinions, and emotions are the glue to familiarity, which is the basic building blocks of all professional, business, and romantic relationships. So in a few scenarios, if you're in a group setting and you start a conversation with one or more people, include all of them by asking, how do you know each other? Powerful question. Another great icebreaker at a happy hour or social event is, this is great. So, who is the party animal of this group that I have to avoid? Everyone will say, no, I'm not, or he is, or she is, and they'll possibly lead into crazy stories that will open up any conversation and move you past the mundane questions such as, how was your day? Or how's the conference? Or how's this happy hour? How's the weather? You want to get beneath the surface and get people to open up and react emotionally to your questions and your communication. When they're on a higher status, if they connect to you, then it's a greater association. So let's talk about the value of open-ended communication. When communicating with a high-status individual, you want to avoid any questions that lead to a yes or no conclusion. The best questions are the types that require the subject that you're speaking to recollect, ladies and gentlemen, and tap into emotions. The most powerful emotions are those that are wrapped in past memories. For example, if I ask you, did you watch television this weekend? Your response is one or three outcomes: yes, no, or yes/no, accompanied with a passionate response. My audience is filled with go-getters and do not have the opportunity to waste time with great people, so we must shift the odds so that it is in our favor. Now, using the previous example, if I ask you what childhood television cartoon character did you always want to be just like? What does that do? That invokes the memory of the excitement of going to bed on Friday night thinking about cartoons, waking up in the morning prepared to watch Saturday morning cartoons, waking up early, making a bowl of cereal, and parking in front of the TV at 8:30 a.m. So you're recollecting the theme music of the cartoon, the voice and mannerisms of the cartoon, and finally, you're thinking about the character itself. So does that all make sense? What did you watch in terms of, did you watch television versus the deeper question that makes you recollect? So a great open-ended question to ask a high-status individual in this particular scenario, to give you another example, is if you could essentially, let me take a step back and ask this question with deeper conviction. If you could give your best quality to someone who truly needed it, what would it be and how would their life improve? So this question leads to great self-reflection. High status people are incredibly self-aware. Asking them to reflect upon how their best quality would improve someone else's life immediately causes them to picture someone important in their life. In many cases, it could be a loved one who they wish was more confident, or a parent who they wish was better than with money. The magic of this question is association. Write this down. This is the final tip. When people evoke feelings because of you, they attach the same feelings onto you. One more time. When people evoke feelings because of you, they attach those same feelings onto you. So the feelings of thinking about a family member get attached onto you, and that is the foundation, ladies and gentlemen, of establishing powerful rapport. So when you only have a couple minutes, you never get a second chance to make a first impression, and when you are able to get into the midst of an important person, like for example in this building, there's live events going on at all times. So, and this is the home of the Russ Parr Morning Show, and Donnie Simpson recorded in this very studio. So what you have is the opportunity at the elevator to meet so many people. So you may not have the chance to go into the whole dissertation. So it's important for you to understand, to, when you have the chance to speak, to make those connections. Now, this has been another great show of Conversational Currency, where we discuss the value and importance of social skills for business in a digital era. You've been a great audience. I want you to go to mrshadeed.com/icebreaker. You can get the show notes and join the mailing list free of charge, so that you can connect to the exclusive interviews and resources behind the scenes to help you build your business, grow your brand, improve your reputation, and have stronger communication and effective communication. On behalf of WBGR, I am Shadeed Eleazer. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to spend time with me, and for that, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.